And in the next few moments, as you start to begin to notice your breath here tonight, let's begin with what I call the square breath. So square breath is a way of staying with the counting, using the counting of 4 in a square-like motion. So imagine a square of a shape. So there's kind of 4 sides to a square, and we're going to look at the 4 sides of the square as a cycle. So what we're going to do in our own count of 4, we're going to inhale for the count of 4. Now suspend that inhale, hold it for the 4. Then we're going to exhale for 4. Then pause for 4, just to begin to watch and observe in that cycle. Then begin again. So for every cycle here, inhale, suspend and hold, exhale, then pause to begin again. So this is really important to kind of stay with the count, because you might start to observe if you're rushing or if you're already thinking about the next step. This breath work is really helpful to allow us to kind of just really stay present and notice in our own habits, or if the mind today seems to be really kind of restless or busy. And it's okay, the mind's going to jump back and forth, it's going to think. So this is where the counting is really helpful. It's our anchor here to kind of stay present. And so as you start to find that cycle and that count of 4 each time, if you kind of lose track, if you got distracted, it's okay. Bring yourself back to the beginning and count, inhale for the 4. And so you might notice if you're tensing in any way in your physical body, just give yourself a few moments to relax in the exhale. And just keeping your attention with the count. And we're going to one more round here, one more cycle here in this square breath. And when you're ready, let's slowly begin to open up our eyes and come out of our seat. And we're going to come into our first pose. And for this one, you can stay sitting on a prop if you wish, especially if your hips are tight. And we're going to come to seated butterfly. So if you've done this before, we're going to start by bringing the legs in front, and then we're going to take the soles of the feet to touch and knees out wide. So you're creating a diamond shape with your legs. Now, if you're, say your hips are feeling a little bit tight today, or even the lower back, you can take a block underneath each thigh or knee, and you can start with, you know, a low height first, and slot it underneath each knee or thigh. If that feels it's maybe not supportive enough, you can bring the block a little bit higher. So take a few moments here to find that support. Now you can start to stay seated up. If you want to go further and go a little bit beyond to perhaps open up through the back body, you can start to walk yourself forward. You can keep the spine round. You can even draw the palms upwards as you bring the hands towards the mat. So the intention here is, as you lean forward, we're starting to round the spine and to open up not only through the groin area, but you may even start to feel it in all the way down to the lower back. So this is like a forward fold here. And as you find your way, you can close your eyes. If you do find your head is, your neck is feeling stiff, you can draw the chin to the chest. You can even use your hands to support your head if that's comfortable. And as you let yourself settle here in your pose, take a few moments if you'd like to close your eyes or even soften the gaze now. Making sure that nothing is pulling in over kind of too much in the sense of that kind of opening and stretching. You want it to kind of feel it but not be painful. And as we start to bring our attention to our breath, see if you like to incorporate that square breath you just practiced. And as you find your count, let that be your anchor each cycle. You kind of start to be an anchor point. Notice if the mind's drifting off. Notice if you're getting restless, distracted, or even bored. And all of these emotions, all of the dialogue that's coming through is very natural. Sometimes the more busy or the more restless or distracted we've been, sometimes we just need the counting and the breath to kind of stay more grounded, to stay present. And to do that takes more effort sometimes than to stay distracted. Let each breath to perhaps soften through where you might be feeling the sensations. It could be in the groin, it could be lower back, or even around the hips. And so this pose, we're focusing on the back line of the body, the urinary bladder channel. So that's the brother-sister relationship to the kidney. And when the urinary bladder channel perhaps there's stagnation or blockages around that line, which travels both sides of the spine all the way down to the back of each leg, we may feel this inability to cope with change. And it's perhaps sometimes an overwhelming feeling that, we don't have the confidence to kind of go on with all the shifting things that are happening around us. So this is a kind of something to perhaps help with what's going on at the moment with all the changes. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming. And so as you notice which part of that cycle in the square breath, notice the breath, notice the count, take your time, letting the body soften towards the earth. And just starting to perhaps notice where you feel the sensations. And perhaps letting those tension spots soften a little bit more. A few more breaths. And in your own time, in the next few moments, feel free to use your hands to walk yourself back to sitting. You can take your hands onto each knee, bring them back together. If it feels really stiff, you can give them a shake, just shake the legs out. And we're going to start by taking a short child's pose, just to round the spine, just to pause here and rest. But if you prefer to go into a different pose, feel free to lie down on your back or your belly if you prefer, just to give yourself a few moments here to rest. Normally we have a longer rest pose, but I'd like you to kind of get a little bit more in today into our practice because of time constraints. So let's start by finding that rest pose. Let yourself, especially the spine and even the back body, just to rest. And this is a really important time, even though it's a short amount of time in the rest pose, it's also a really good time to take in the feedback that's coming through now. It could be a little bit of the physical feedback. Is there sensations? Is there tingles? Is there a feeling of even like a flush of fluid? Sometimes you can really feel energetically too what's going through the body. Especially if you're feeling tightness in the hips, perhaps there's anything going on through the hip joint there. And then there's an element of perhaps a stirring of emotions or even memories that can come up in our rest time. Sometimes those things have always been lingering below the surface, but when we stay a little bit quieter, we can perhaps we can hear more. And so when you feel ready to slowly come out of your rest pose, we're going to come straight onto our bellies. So feel free, if you like, to take a blanket or a towel underneath your hip bones. You can place it in the middle of the mat. And we're going to lie on our bellies, bring our hands and forearms in front. So start by looking at your shoulders. Right in front of your shoulders are your hands and forearms. And if you can see me a bit better like this. This is a tricky thing about candlelight. So hopefully you can see me. And then we're going to bring our legs about hip width apart. So make sure that when you do space out your feet, and just check that your legs are actually relaxed. So try not to tense the legs. You can maybe just move the feet and the legs a little bit. Make sure they're quite relaxed. We're going to come into our Sphinx pose. So this is a nice passive back bend. So from here, you can start by staying lower if your lower back is a little bit tender today. If you want to go slightly higher, you can start to maybe see if that's more suitable today. And then to keep your upper body as relaxed as possible, you can either draw the chin to the chest, or you can even take your hands like tripod shape to support your head. And the idea here is to stay in a very passive way on your belly, but to remain that kind of curve into the lumbar area. So this is a passive back bend, which is why we don't want to tense the legs. We want to try and keep our upper body as relaxed as possible. The science behind why we do this in our yin practice is to let the muscles to relax as much as possible. And only when the muscles can relax to a certain extent that we can actually get into the joint side. So in the lower back space here. And also to be able to open up and rehydrate the connective tissue that surrounds the lumbar area. And if you find the anchor here tonight with the square breath is helpful, feel free to continue with that. And the counting is always a good grounding for a lot of us. Some days you may find one method works really effectively and other times a different method. And so be open to the fact square breath may work or may not work for you tonight. If you know another breath work, perhaps even just counting the breath. Inhale 1, exhale 1, inhale 2, exhale 2, and so on. That might be helpful too. And as you take the next 3 to 4 breaths here, just letting the shoulders and the upper body relax. Let the floor hold your front body, the belly, the hips, front of the legs. Let it feel heavy. And so we're really getting into that kidney space in this Sphinx pose, getting right into the lower back. Especially if you sit down a lot during the day, we are pretty much stacking, putting so much pressure on the lower back, and we tend to create a really bad posture. We kind of round the spine and lose the curve in the lumbar space. So if you do experience a lot of lower back issues or tenderness, this is actually a great pose to try and practice at least a couple of minutes a day. It's quite helpful for the health of the lower back. Okay, so in the next few moments, when you feel ready, let's come back onto our bellies and let's stack our hands underneath our forehead so that we can rest too. And by resting our spine in a neutral position, let the spine be flat. Let that chi flow and flush through. Perhaps any stagnation that's built up in the lower back, let that flush through now. Let the connective tissues rehydrate all along the lower back. And then if you want to release the lower back now, you're welcome to either just kind of shimmy the hips side to side, or you can even bend your knees and windscreen wipe your feet side to side. And take your time to release anything else if you need. And once you're ready, let's lower the feet down, and we're going to go straight into our next one. So the next one is actually lying on our back. So all you need to do is flip yourself around and come onto your backs. And from here, if you're feeling a little bit tender in the lower back, feel free to hug the knees to the chest. Maybe you can just gently rock side to side, or you can even just take your hands onto your knees and do some knee circles if that's nice to release the lower back, or even through the hips. Then we'll take it to our next pose. So you might know it as happy baby. In the yin practice, we call it stirrup pose. And the difference between this and happy baby is happy baby, we tend to rock side to side as well, but in stirrup, we stay very still. So from here, we're going to start by taking our soles of the feet directed towards the ceiling. bring the knees away from each other so you can hold on to hamstrings. You want your thighs to come away from the side of your chest. So you don't want it to actually press into your ribs. You want it to come away from the side of your chest. And then if you feel comfortable to continue holding onto your hamstrings, or you might see if you want to reach for the ankles, but if your head or your shoulders are hunching or straining, either take a cushion underneath your head or lower your hands back down to the hamstrings. And we're going to stay here for a couple of breaths first, just to settle. And now doing the best you can for the next minute or two to try and relax the upper body. And you can maybe see if the shoulders are hunching, maybe just soften it down. And just letting now the sit bones and even the hips to soften in its own time. It doesn't, happen straight away. Sometimes it may not happen if we're so used to kind of tensing in that area. So if it helps, you can close your eyes or even come back to square breath. And another option is a mantra that we have done together before, and I could bring that back in for you tonight as an option. And the mantra is let in, let be, let go. You can repeat that mantra to yourself as you start to soften here. You can even coordinate this mantra with your breath. So as you inhale, you can repeat let in to yourself. As you hold and suspend the breath, you can repeat let be. And as you exhale, repeating to yourself let go. And just taking each moment as it comes. Don't worry about the last or the next. Stay with this present breath. And with each breath, feeling the floor and the earth hold your back body now. While the feet and the legs are suspended, just letting that prana and the chi flow the opposite direction, taking that pressure away off your feet and your ankles, calves. Letting time and the breath just slowly soften through the hamstrings, the groin, perhaps even through the tailbone, the lower back area. And so we are getting straight into the urinary bladder channel here in this pose. And the more we practice here, the more we will nourish perhaps any imbalances we feel. They're both coming through physically. Sometimes you may feel there's an imbalance, you may feel tightness, but also there could be some health issues that can come through, backaches, even noticing if there's this fatigue or exhaustion, if it's related to the kidneys and urinary bladder. And the more we practice bit by bit, we can perhaps start to move through any of those blockages. And when you feel ready from where you are, in the next few moments, you can bring the knees back towards each other. Use your hands. You can give your knees a hug. You might want to do some knee circles. And when you feel ready, let's pause here by bringing the feet back down. You can let the legs stay bent or legs relax onto the floor. Let yourself come to rest pose now. So for this rest pose, just take a few moments to allow whether it's the legs or even the spine to stay nice and neutral here. Observing the feedback that's coming through. Letting go of any of the inner dialogue, or even notice the reaction that might be coming through in terms of how we tend to react, or how we perhaps sometimes instinctively Control, analyze. Let yourself become an observer and just begin to watch. See what you see, what you listen, sorry, listen to what you find, you can hear. And when you feel ready, now let's come into our last pose before Shavasana. So let's come into a very simple twist. You can take your feet as wide as the mat, knees stay bent, arms out shoulder height. And you can just take your knees from one side of the room to the other, just releasing through the lower back and even through the hips. May even extend all the way to the side body. So as you start to get a sense of what's coming up, you might feel today, if say the left side feels tighter, then you might want to take the knees to the right and stay there for a few breaths. Vice versa. If it feels more on the right side, then you can take the knees to the left. And so for the next few breaths, I'd like to invite you, if you want to stay in that one side, feel free to take a deep, clearing breath here. And as you exhale, just letting that side of the body to soften to the earth. And so this is always lovely, simple twist, so good for our spine. Great way to open up through the hips. And when you feel ready to come into Shavasana, feel free to set yourself up if you like to add some layers or blanket. You can take something underneath your head. And tonight's Shavasana, I like to also add a little bit of Yoga Nidra. So Yoga Nidra is yogic sleep, and it's a very simple lying down meditation. There's nothing you need to do. You don't need to have any experience in meditation. It's simply letting the body to rest and stay still, but your attention stays with my voice, and it's very much led by kind of what we call a sensory journey. And so Yoga Nidra for tonight is going to be based on what I call the sweeping breath. And so with the water element in winter, I wanted to add a bit of fluidity and even the visualization of waves of the ocean and water flowing as part of our Shavasana. So when you feel ready to settle towards your mat, just take some time now to close down the eyes, arms relaxed, and letting your physical body now to soften to the earth, sensing parts of yourself held by the earth now. Let it feel heavy. And letting the face, the jaw to soften. Feel free to add a yawn. It helps to release any tension in the face. Allow the shoulders to come away from the ears. Legs are heavy. And in the next few moments, as we listen to our breath, relaxing the need to control your breath, beginning to watch as you receive the inhale, release, and as the exhalation moves the body. And now imagining water and waves in the ocean at the beach. Imagine each breath is like a wave, a sweeping motion. On your next inhale, imagine that inhale starts from the tip of your toes. Let that inhale begin now to sweep all the way up towards the tip of your crown of your head. Starting from the tip of the toes, sweep all the way to the crown of the head. And as an exhale comes through, let the exhale sweep all the way back down to the top. Inhale, let the breath sweep all the way from the toes to the crown of your head. Exhale, let it flow all the way back down. Let's do that for the next 5 breaths. Feeling that sweeping motion of the inhale all the way to the crown of the head. And exhale back all the way to the toes. Two more breaths. In the next breath, let the inhale now begin from the knees. Let the inhale sweep from the knees to the crown of your head. Exhale back down to the knees. 5 breaths. Sweeping up from the knees to the crown of the head on the inhale. Back down to the knees on the exhale. Feeling that wave-like motion. And the breaths continuously flow from one to the next. And that fluidity. Two more breaths. And on the next breath, bring your awareness through your belly button, navel center. Start the inhale sweeping from the navel all the way to the crown of the head. Exhale all the way back down to the navel center. 5 breaths. Feeling the fluidity of the breath flowing in and out. All the way up to the crown of the head on the inhale. Back to the navel center on the exhale. One continuous movement. One more breath. Bring awareness to your heart space. On the inhale, sweeping up to the crown of the head on the inhale. Exhale back down to the heart space. 3 breaths. And beginning now to bring your awareness to the tip of your nose. Sweeping from the tip of the nose to the crown of the head on the next inhale. Back to the tip of the nose on the exhale. 3 breaths. Wing movements, sweeping up, sweeping down on the exhale. And let your entire body now feel that wave-like motion. Let yourself completely surrender. Let it go. Now, a beautiful part of Shavasana at home is this session allows us Just stay as long as we like in our Shavasana. There's definitely no need to come out. And you can stay as long as you need, keeping no tension in you. If you do want to slowly come out, feel free to wiggle your fingers and your toes. You know how to stretch. When you feel ready, let's meet each other in the seat. If you're happy to come up to the seat, if you're ready, you'd like to conclude your Shavasana. And we can meet together in our seat now. And as we find our seat, let's keep our gaze nice and soft. Let's bring our palms to touch. Let our thumbs rest into our heart space, holding this space for ourselves of gratitude. And although there's always changes around us, what remains the same is how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive the world around us is reflected in how we see our own selves. And that also is a fluidity in that things come and go. And to be able to stay true to yourself is always an ongoing practice. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's bow down towards our thumbs. Thank you so much. Namaste. Thank you. So if you would like to join me, I'm going to be here every Friday in Candlelit Yin from 6. And it's a 45-minute class. But just so you all know, if you don't know already, the studio is reopening, which is very exciting, from the 27th. I think it's a Saturday of June. So I'll be teaching the Monday lunchtime classes. It's a hatha class, and I'll also be there on Sunday mornings at 9:15. But this class will remain a virtual Zoom class, especially Friday if you really just want to stay